Muscle tissue is a soft, specialized tissue responsible for producing movement, maintaining posture, and generating heat in the body. Three types of muscle tissue: striated muscle, responsible for voluntary movements and attached to bones; cardiac muscle, found only in the heart, responsible for pumping blood; smooth muscle, involuntary muscle found in internal organs, controlling functions like digestion. Striated muscle tissue, composed of long cylindrical multinucleated muscle fibers, each with transverse bands and longitudinal striae. Longitudinal striations are caused by parallel thread-like myofibrils within the fiber. Each myofibril consists of repeated sarcomeres along its length. Each sarcomere consists of two species of longitudinally oriented proteinaceous myofilaments, myosin and actin. Cardiac muscle tissue. Heart muscle is a unique variety of striated muscle tissue. It contains myofibrils and filaments of actin and myosin arrayed similarly to those in skeletal muscle fibers. Mechanism of contractions are essentially same. The tissue differs in that its cells are uninucleate. Cells are separated by unique boundaries. Intercalated discs can contract without nervous stimulation. It can innervated by fibers of autonomic nervous system. So it is supplied with nerves of autonomic nervous system. Smooth muscle tissue. Cells are fusiform, uninucleate myofibrils but lack cross striations. Occur most often in sheets as part of an organ, innervated by the autonomic nervous system. Smooth cardiac both autonomic nervous system. Based on the major role a muscle plays in survival of the organ, it can be classified as somatic and visceral muscle. Somatic muscles orient the body of the organism in the external environment. They are striated muscle attached to the ligaments, tendons, bones of the axial skeleton, to the appendicular skeleton, and to the skeletal components of the lateral and ventral body parts. Somatic muscles are said to be voluntary if they can be contracted at will. Visceral muscles. They are the smooth muscles of hollow organs, vessels, tubes, and ducts. The intrinsic musculature of the eyeballs and the erector muscles of feathers and hair. It includes cardiac muscle. Difference between somatic and visceral. Somatic, striated, skeletal, voluntary; visceral, smooth, non-skeletal, involuntary. Somatic, primitively segmented; visceral, unsegmented. Somatic muscle myotomal. Visceral muscle arises mostly from lateral mesoderm. Somatic mostly in body wall and appendages. Visceral muscle mostly in the internal visceral organs. Somatic primarily for orientation external environment. Visceral regulate internal environment. Somatic innervated directly by spinal nerves and cranial nerves. Later visceral innervated by postganglionic fibers of autonomic nervous system. Skeletal muscle consists of muscular and tendinous portions. Surrounding a muscle is a tough, glistening fibrous sheath, muscle fascia or epimysium, consists chiefly of collagenous connective tissue. Major burdens of muscle fibers: fascicles within the muscle surrounded by perimysium. The muscular, neural, vascular components of each function are supported by very fine collagen reticulum, endomysium, continuation of perimysium. Tendons are continuation of the muscle beyond the site where fascicles end. Properties of contractile fiber types in craniates: twitch, fast to slow, tonic, slow contraction. Twitch, slow mammalian postural muscles, tonic postural muscles in amphibians and reptiles. Fast, most locomotor muscles, tonic extraocular and ear muscles of mammals. Twitch, innervation a single axon, tonic multiple axons. Twitch variably fatigues, tonic can maintain tension efficiently. Origin insertions. Origin, the site of the attachment that remain fixed under most functional conditions. The bone on which it originates is not displaced when the muscle contracts. The insertion of a muscle is the site of attachment, usually displaced by contraction of the muscle. Categories of skeletal muscles functions. Extensors tend to straighten two segments of a limb or vertebral column at a joint. In the triceps, flexors tend to draw one segment toward another. In the biceps, adductors draw a part toward the midline, adductor of the thighs. Abductors cause displacement away from the midline, adduction of the thigh. Protraction cause a part such as hyoid or tongue to be thrust forward or outward. Retractors pull it back, retraction of hyoid bone. Levators raise a part, elevation of the scapula. Depressors, depression of the scapula, lower a part. Rotators cause rotation of a part on its axis. Rotation of the arm. Supinators and pronators. Supinators rotate the turn the palm outward, make it prone. Pronators. Tensors make a part such as eardrum tense, tenses the eardrum. Tensor tympani. Constrictors compress internal parts, constrict the intestine. Sphincters, constrictors that make an opening smaller, constricts the opening of the sphincter. Dilators have the opposite effect, dilates the pupil. Axial muscles, skeletal muscles of the trunk and tail, arise from segmental mesodermal somites, extend forward beneath the pharynx as hypobranchial muscles and in amnions as tongue muscles. Two types: hypaxial muscles located on the ventral side relative to the septum. They are innervated by ventral rami of spinal nerves and from the abdominal wall and form the abdominal wall intercostal muscles and diaphragm. Epaxial, epaxial located on the dorsal side related to the septum. They are innervated by the dorsal rami of spinal nerves and primarily extend to spatially as the strum from the tail to head to tail. They are present. Trunk muscles of vertebra. Metamerism of the somites is expressed as myomeres in those adult in which myosepta separate the muscles of the body segment from the next. Myosepta do not form in the abdomen region of neurons and amniotes. They consist of broad sheets strengthened tendinous inscription. Body wall and tail of fish consist of myomeres separated by myosepta to which longitudinal muscle fiber attach. Formation of myosepta depends on the habitat. Septum in dog and some amphibians and broad sheets in fish. Trunk and tail muscle of amphipods. Amniotes gradually lose much of the metamerism of axial muscles, instead develop complex appendicular muscular for terrestrial life. Increased flexibility of the reptilian mammalian vertebral column permitting dorsal arching, especially in mammals of greater lateral undulation of trunk in non-avian reptiles. Epaxial muscles of trunk tetrapod extend from base of skull into the tail. Amphibians retain primitive metamerism arising and inserting into myosepta and transverse process. Amniotes, most of epaxials are long bundles, some extend over body segments, divided into four groups: intervertebrals, longissimus, spinous, and iliocostals. Representative somatic muscles of mammals: head and neck. Eyeball muscle, superior inferior oblique medial lateral rectus, superior inferior rectus. Tongue muscle: genioglossus, hyoglossus, styloglossus, lingualis. Hypobranchial muscles: geniohyoideus, sternohyoideus, sternothyhyoideus, thyrohyoideus, omohyoideus. Pharynx: branchiomeric muscles, mandibular, hyoid, other branchial muscles. Trunk: epaxial muscles, hypaxial muscles. Epaxial muscles: intervertebrals, longissimus spinous iliocostals. Hypaxial subvertebrals, oblique and transverse group rectus muscles. Forelimb extrinsic, intrinsic, secondary and primary appendicular. Appendicular muscles, those that insert on girdles, fins or limbs. Two types: extrinsic appendicular muscle, appendicular muscles are those arising on the axial skeleton or fascia of the trunk and inserting on a girdle or limb. Intrinsic appendicular muscles are those arising on a girdle or limb and inserting more distally on limb. Extrinsic muscle, primary appendicular, latissimus dorsi pectoralis, secondary appendicular, levator scapula, rhomboidus, satus ventralis. Intrinsic muscles arising on a girdle or limb and inserting more distally on limb. Intrinsic muscles of pectoral girdle and forelimbs of mammals and the probable homologous in reptiles. Muscles of girdle: mammals, deltoideus, subscapularis, teres minor, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, coracobranchial, teres major. Reptiles: deltoideus clavicularis, dorsal scapula, subcoracoscapularis, scapulohumerales anterior, supracoracoideus, coracobranchialis, slip of latissimus dorsi. Muscles of upper arm: girdle of humerus to proximal end of radius ulna. Triceps brachii, biceps brachii, brachialis, epitocleonaconius and conius. Triceps brachii, biceps brachii, brachialis, epitocleoanconius and conius, ANCONEUS. Muscles of forearm: extensors and flexors of carpus and digits, supinators and pronators of hand. Muscles of hand: extensors, flexors, abductor, adductors of digits.